ladies and gentlemen, Eddie Marcus here again. Got a few truths I'd like to share with you so that you might enjoy the fun that I have. My whole mission is basically to establish the reality of truth so that I might be free and express that freedom by the message that I give in my words and in my deeds. And right now I have learned that in order for anything to exist, maybe all things must as well. In other words, for every action there's a reaction. For every give there's a take. For every why there's a how. And it seems that it doesn't matter what the situation is. Even love can only exist if there's hate. Hate can only exist if there's love. Joy can only exist if there's pain. Pain can only exist if there's joy. And so these are the kinds of choices that we as individuals have to face every day. And usually the choices that we make are based upon what our senses have brought to us and transplanted in our minds as being real and accepted beyond all things that we know not of. And so we find ourselves clashing against the wall day in, day out, every last one of us. We're living in a world that is not peaceful. So, what's the opposite? We're living in a world that is not wonderful for all. So, what is the opposite? So, why do these things exist? Well, they exist because the truth is not known. It took a long time, if the words that you receive in the Bible are true, for Moses to realize. I don't know what Abraham did, but according to the story of Moses, it took a long time, and then he realized the truth. And having realized the truth, he disappeared from the people. Some people say he went up in a mountain. Some people say they don't know what happened. They just didn't see Moses anymore. But Moses had separated himself from the people. Why in the world Moses was separated from the people? Because Moses had learned the lesson that the people had not learned, and he could not teach them anymore. That means basically that you have to, as an individual, learn the truth yourselves. When you think about these mega churches, thousands and tens of thousands people believe in this faith, and this person who represents this faith, they're giving their money in tithes, and all kinds of things are happening in the name of this particular ministry, and everybody feels good and grandiose. Doesn't mean a thing in relationship to truth if you don't learn from it. You see, these people, you heard it said that forsake not yourselves from assembling together, that there's supposed to be some magical thing in this happening. And the hope is that truth would reveal itself, and having received the truth, the church would start falling apart because, well, there is no place for that kind of growth. Not here. No place for that kind of growth. Not here. You see, here, everything is the opposite of love. And you have people here who think that they love, and they are allowed to exist because their love is nothing but what hate permits. In other words, it serves hate's purpose. So when you find people thinking that they're all loving people and God loves them because they're so loving, they haven't recognized the truth. You see, when you see these, as I mentioned, these mega churches, it won't be a whole mega church of you guys all feel safe and comfortable in numbers, marching through that narrow gate from a straight path. You won't be doing that. No, you're going to be on that big old Broadway, and that wide gate, big enough to accommodate you. And you're going to go right where it takes you. But it won't be taking you where you think you said you wanted to go. You see, A lot of people try to play games, but this is no game. This is real, and only the pure in heart shall find it. Now, what does that basically mean? That basically means this. I want you to think back. Think back. You know the story of Gandhi. As soon as Gandhi walked in the truth, he had to go. You know the story. And you know, a lot of times you think white people are not touched by the same spirit, but they're touched by that same spirit. That's John Brown. And when you think about people more recent, think about the Kennedy brothers. I don't know what kind of guys these were before they passed on. Some stories are written, you can read that, but you really don't know. And then you think about the kind of guys they were at the time that they passed on. We still don't know that much about them, except what we read or it was broadcast. But one thing we do know, that they are no longer here. And they are no longer here because of what they were about. And what they were about was destructive to the evilness of this world. And they had to go. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Medgar Evers, these guys walked into the truth. They had nothing to rub and stroke this evil society with. So they had to go. Like they say, when mankind originated in the garden, where truth was transferred around, when it was violated, according to that story, they had to go. And so what this whole thing about is, according to the life that Jesus lived, yes, this is the evil side of the coin. And evil wants to be here supreme above all. And it is here supreme above all. And one who came with a greater knowledge of what truth is came to live amongst us because we didn't know the truth. We didn't even know that our hearts had to be purged, that we had to reach out, struggle for truth, not in a numbered way, but in an individual way. We had to know for ourselves the truth. Not what somebody else said, not what we read, but what we experienced, what the power said, not to others per se, but what that power said to you. Power, according to the book, spoke to those. And why don't you require that the power speak to you? Because you're not of that power. You're still in the world's way. When you say, my Bible says, that's because you're still in the world's way. Anybody who has a relationship with God don't have time to talk about what the Bible said. They got too much guessing to go on there. But if they have a relationship with God, they can talk about all subjects based upon God's relationship with them, and they won't get tired and they won't get dull and boring. So when you find somebody say, well, Paul, well, Peter, well, James, well, Silas, well, you just get on up and say another day, another time. I don't have for this story. So what I'm saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, is this. When Jesus came here, he said, in his life way, that all that the world can possibly offer, all the money, all the cars, all the women, regardless of race, nature of their hair, lips, all of the women, all of the food, all of the comforts of life, whatever he desired, he could have the best. The best. In fact, he had been offered authority under evil to rule the world. And everything that was offered, all of that, according to the story, Jesus said is not worth having. Because in order to do that, you're going to lose life. You're going to lose life to take that kind of part in the world. And yet, we have been taught in such a way that our struggle is to get your part of the world. And it's understandable why you would want to get your part of the world, because it is a gift from God to us. But this part of it has been swiped from the people through lies and deceptions and killing and the like. And so living says that there's something better, and you will see it. And having seen it, you will choose it. And having chosen it, it will be evidenced by the way you walk, and everybody will see it. And something will happen in the world because of your enlightenment. You will become a light. You will begin to shine, and into darkness will you begin to expose God before the people. And evil will say, you got to go. Now what has happened in that? You have walked the straight all the way. You weren't going to the left, you weren't going to the right. You were going to the way the Spirit was teaching you and leading you and guiding you to live. You weren't mad with the left, you weren't mad with the right. You were just so satisfied with where you were, and that's where you were going. And on the left and the right, some might admire you, but they weren't following you, because the price they know you're going to pay is a price that they were not ready to pay. And so you go out there, and you will find yourself going through that narrow door because you walk that straight path. And every human being that thinks they're going to get into heaven, my friends, is going to have to go that way. Now, I know you heard me say that for every good there's an evil. So when I say about heaven, am I saying that there is no more evil? No, I'm not saying that. But look at it this way. Let's look at 50 people. Let's say 100. And 50 were representative of evil. And 50 were representative of good. And let's just say that they were both exercising their reality. And in so doing, even the darkness became a dark light, a dim light for those who weren't free. But for those who were free, they definitely became a light, because that's the way it is. That is the light. And let's say that those who were on the evil side became born again. Let's see, for lack of a better expression, let's just say born again. They got born again, and they moved on the side of light. They moved on the side of light. Now, as long as one speck of evil existed, that in itself authorized by virtue of authority of truth, for lack of better understanding, that it could exist, that heaven and evil could exist. Now you might say that don't make sense. Well, I ask you this. You take the benefit of these 99. Take the benefit of these 99 that's doing the good side, the heavenly side, the beneficial side, the loving side, with one or they're doing negative. How do you think that compares, the results of these 99s loving you, compared to 99 hating you? So what I'm saying, that even though evil will exist, it won't exist in heaven. In other words, as long as there's a heaven, there's a hell. And as long as there's a hell, there's a heaven. So we've got a choice to make. We can choose to live in heaven, or we can choose to live in hell. Now what am I saying? I'm saying this. This is what I have learned for me. And I'm not trying to get anybody to believe it. I have learned that this earth is hell. I don't care how good you might think your life is. This earth is hell. You don't think it's hell? Lose your job. Don't have any health care. Can't send your kids to school. Struggling from house to house. Selling your body trying to survive. Doing drugs trying to hide from the realities of this hell you're living in. Being tricked, putting up guns and going fighting for some lying clowns in the hell that they've started. You don't think that's hell? But that's why you're still here. Because if you knew that was hell, you probably want to get out. And so when you want to get out, you probably want to be where there's peace. You probably want to be where there's prosperity. You probably want to be where joy is. And wanting to be in these such places, that means that you would know that everybody got certain requirements that are common. Get out of here. Such as food, not just oxygen, air, water, fire, but shelter as well. And not just shelter, but education and health care. And you know that you don't want to just be here, so it's something you want to do, and you want to do that as a career because it's something that's inside of you that's wonderful, that gives you your greatest pleasure. It's what you want to contribute to the society in this life at this time. And you now understand that everything that you and everyone else is doing is playing a major role in creating all of the goods and services that we the people have determined are essential for us to be thrilled in this life. And so that's what we strive for. That's what we do. And evil can't stand that. But that's the way it operates in heaven. Evil can't stand that. And evil will send you to heaven. But then that's where you belong. You've outlived your days in hell. That's where I have been led by the Spirit of this that lives in me, is the reality. And so I'm working to be as good as I possibly can to all of the people in the world. Donald Trump too. And all the people that are out there cocking up guns, and dude over in North Korea, he needs a little loving too. And I do that because love has no room for hate. Love has no room for hate. Remember that. Till next time, this is Eddie Marcus, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people, saying bye-bye.